Good morning and welcome to Saturday special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. What scientists think today, the cultural ecosystem of any place has already incorporated that thought long back. And eons old philosophies like that of India, like that of Japan, China, Inca, Mesopotamia, Egyptian, they have all the essential gems. Or rather, I'll call it the germination seed was in those cultures, which has now bloomed in this era. And often we see science and religion at odds. But if we remove the theological aspect, views about the nature of God, creation of the universe, and like, from day-to-day practice of religious faith, the animosity between religion and science would evaporate. What we are left behind would be series of rituals, customs, sentiments that are themselves the results of experimentation of some sort. Some ritual was successful, so it became a part. It was hypothesis, maybe it never became a theory or a law, but then it had the background of tradition. Over thousands of years, these experiments carried on the messy thicket of life, as opposed to the sterile labs, have led to the design of what we might call spiritual technologies, tools and processes meant to soothe, move, convince, or otherwise tweak the mind, arouse the curiosity. And studying these ideas, these thoughts, these perceptions, these theories, these laws, has revealed that certain parts of religious practices, even when removed from spiritual context, are able to influence people's mind in much more meaningful ways than the scientists even after seek. And as I said, this is not something novel, it's on all. But then, when I look at the major laws of Newton, I'm impressed that they are in fact an echo of what is found in the Indian philosophy. More, of course, explicit, more detailed, but the germs are there. And Isaac Newton, if we look at him, was not only an eminent mathematician and physicist, but also an erudite philosopher, a deeply spiritual man, and a theologian known for the biblical literalism. Now, this was, in fact, a continuation of the Plato's, much at odds with the today's perception of being expert in one field, which is in fact blinding the creativity. And that's why we are aware of the laws of motion, but we are not aware of the background of his Catholic biblical literalism. And to most of us, Newton is known for the laws of motion. However, the moment you study those laws of motion, and if you are conversant with the Indic philosophy, you would see a striking resemblance between the two. The laws of the motion and some tenets of the Indic philosophy. Of course, the Indic philosophy is so vast that these laws are only referred to. I'll take up the three laws of motion, which are outstanding contribution of Newton to the growth of physics. The first law, which is also called the law of inertia, states that if a thing is at rest, it will continue to be at rest. And if it's in motion, it will continue to be in a state of motion unless an external force is applied to it. Now, if you look at the tamas tendencies as opposed to rajas tendencies, you would find inertia is common and is prevalent among people, especially and predominantly with the tamasic tendencies. And unless an external force, persuasion, or moral force, physical force is applied, they will not move. They have to be goaded into action. They can be lazy, they can be indolent, and many times need an external stimulus to get moving. Similarly, those with hyperactive nature might find it difficult to be at peace with themselves. So to bring a change in the temperament requires external interventions such as regular physical exercise and meditation. You see, both inertia absolute and hyperactivism are extreme states. For a normal life, you need a balance in the two. And that's what the thought is which Newton elucidated as far as the laws of physics are concerned. But as I said, the germs are there in the Indic philosophy. The moment you think of tamas, rajas, you would find that those resonances with the Indian philosophy are quite audible. Come to the second law of nature, that if same force is exerted on two objects with different mass, they will gain different speed. A huge mass and a small mass, you give the same push, the heavier one would require more force to move than the lighter one. And if the same force is there, the heavier one would come to a stop first and the lighter one would keep on moving. Same way, a lazy person would need more prodding, more persuasion, more pushing as compared to the agile ones. This is a law which is there in spiritual aspect, which is there in our common everyday life. The only difference between Newton and the philosophy and the thought of common behavior is that he put it in precise words. Who doesn't know otherwise? Now come to the third law of motion, which is a law of action and reaction. And that states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Interestingly, don't you think that this resonates well with the law of karma? You sow what you reap what you sow. You're bad and you'll have bad karma and the consequences will be bad. You have empathy and people will treat you with empathy. You spread hatred and you will be a recipient of hatred. The law of karma is basically the law of action and reaction. And karma is one of the most important aspects of Indic philosophy. Whatever action we take, whatever action we perform, either good or bad, has a bearing on our destiny. And the result may not be visible immediately, but it would have its impact, and slowly and steadily we'll find that karma comes to bite you back in the ass. Whatever goes around ultimately comes back. Good karma results in noble values and bad karma in the vicious values. After all, a person is the product of his karma, what it goes. So what Newton said about every action has being an equal and opposite reaction, was in fact a formulation of the laws of karma in terms of scientific usage and terminology. It is rather an explanation of the laws of karma. And then, if we think that Newton was only concerned with these three laws of motion and his contribution to physics and to the vast field of science and philosophy, and as I said, to theology, is limited to these laws of karma, we are mistaken. Are you aware that Newton is also credited with the use of calculus? Rather, discovery of calculus in the modern era. It was there earlier. Mesopotamians used calculus. Indians used calculus. It's a branch of mathematics that is in fact anchored around the concept of independent and dependable variable. And that is synonymous with the relationship of cause and effect. So calculus is in fact nothing but a continuation and a logical sequence of cause and effect, the causal connection. And that cause and effect, if you pick up any scripture, Vedas, Puranas, Shastras, you would find that Indic philosophy is extremely well concerned with the concept of cause and effect. And it states that the working of the entire universe is in fact based on this basic law of cause and effect. We say today that a butterfly in Brazil would bring an earthquake in Africa. Yes. But that was there. If you look at Gita, it's very clear over there that each action of yours has an impact on the whole cosmos. You might be the weakest link or the strongest link in the chain, but you are a link, and whatever you do impacts everybody. Some are impacted immediately, like your family, your friends, your social circle. For others, the impact is slow, but it is there. So this cause and effect has been ingrained in the Indic philosophy. If you look at Puranas, all the 18 Puranas, especially the Gada Purana, you would find that this has been exemplified, and as a matter of fact, the concept of heaven, hell, and ultimately moksha. You get moksha, salvation, only when your cause, your living, your deeds have been so good that the effect is that you get moksha. Though that is through the discovery of calculus, Newton has given a quantitative and tangible shape which was there already, although very lofty, concept of cause and effect relationship. Now, spirituality identifies three constructs of human personality: body, mind, and intellect. Most of us are concerned either in our body or get trapped in the web of emotions and make least use of intellect, which every one of us is bestowed with. Newton was an exception. While sitting in a garden one day, he saw an apple on the tree, and that led him to form and formulate the law of gravity. What fires Newton's imagination to explore this phenomenon in detail? It was the spirit of inquiry, a function of intellect. And when Newton was asked how he discovered the law of gravity, his reply is second but very, very important. He said, by thinking about it all the time, meditation. He who thinks half-heartedly will not reach his objective. But he who really thinks he has to identifies with the God himself. So this meditative aspect, contemplation, which is an inherent part of the Indic philosophy, was for him a living credo. And whatever action he took was in the line of this credo. This concept of contemplation, of thought, and that's what the yogis have been doing all the time. Thinking, talking, discussing. And such, that is the laws or the life of Newton, there is a clear indication of connectivity, of relationship between the Indic philosophy as well as his mathematical and physics explorations. He is in fact giving a scientific clothing, outer wear, to the Indic philosophy and presenting it to you in the modern context. That way lies his achievement. But the basic kernel, the basic reality cannot be negated. Thank you.